Hi class, welcome to Income and Projection tab for Major Assignment 2 Excel in Math 144. To start this tab, make sure you've entered your name in the blue cell in Part 1. Your name needs to be at least 10 letters long. If your name is not 10 letters long, please enter X's at the end of your name until you reach 10 letters. You need 10 letters to have the Excel sheet work properly. On this tab, you are going to be given a current income. This income is going to represent what you would make if you join the career, your focus career now. You want to predict how much you're going to make upon graduation in 5 years. So throughout this tab, you are going to project your money into the future and predict how much money you will make upon graduation based off the current income and past CPI values. So step 2 will give you the current income to start with that will generate in the gray cell. In step 2A, you are going to be given a month number and a year. You are going to look up the CPI value for that month number and year, and the CPI values for exactly 1 year later until you fill out this table. So, for example, my next month and year would be month 3, year 2015, and then I continue down the table and I'd find all of the appropriate CPI values for my months and years. Use this CPI value button to open the website. Check the first box on that website, hit retrieve data. You'll see a table of the CPI values that you can enter in for your given months and your given years. Make sure you fill them all in and follow your appropriate formatting. They should be formatted as numbers with 3 decimal places. And make sure you fill out this entire table. Once you know your CPI values, then you are going to calculate the average slope and y-intercept for the CPI values and years. The CPI values are going to act as your y values. The years are going to act as your x values. You want to make sure you use the slope and intercept functions the same way we did on Major Assignment 1 in the income analysis. Again, you're going to be using the CPI values and the years. CPI values are your y values. The years are your x values. Once you get your slope and y-intercept, then you're going to use that to predict the future CPI value for when you graduate. So this leads us into part 2C. So let's go down to part 2C. All right, in part 2C, this is where you're going to use that slope and that intercept, and you're going to predict how much money you would make in your career in 5 years. So the first thing you need to do is you need to predict what year you're looking at. So go back to your table from part 2A. That last year in the table, you want to pick a year that is 5 years after that. So if I go back to my completed table from part 2A, at the end of my completed table in part 2A, I ended with the year 2022. So then 5 years from that would be 2027. So then I would use 2027 for this year. So let me zoom out. So the starting year in part 2C should be 5 years after the last year of your table from part 2A, okay? Once you have that year, then you are going to follow slope-intercept form of the line to find the projected CPI value. You are trying to find the projected CPI value for year 2027. So in this next cell, you are finding the projected CPI value for year 2027 following slope-intercept form of the line. After I use the slope-intercept form of the line with my year 2027, my slope and my y-intercept, use your appropriate numbers. Once I find that projected CPI value, now I can find the 5-year inflation rate. For the 5-year inflation rate, the newer CPI value is going to be the projected CPI value, and you want to compare that to the last CPI value from your table. So it would be the last CPI value in that last row. So compare this is your old CPI value, compare that to the CPI value you just calculated in that gold cell to get your inflation rate. Okay, after we have the inflation rate, now we have everything we need to project our income into the future. So let's bring down our current income down here. So let's grab that with the cell reference. Let's copy it down so we can have it in front of us. And then now let's project this into the future. So you want to do a percent increase to your current income based on the inflation rate. If your inflation rate is positive, do a percent increase. If your inflation rate is negative, you're going to do a percent decrease. So positive, follow a percent increase, decrease, follow a percent decrease to find your 5-year income projection. And then once you've figured out your 5-year income projection, then you can figure out your projected monthly income, take that 5-year income projection and divide it by 12, and that will give you your final projected monthly income. When you find that projected monthly income, you're not going to cell reference that 12. Make sure you cell reference that 5-year income projection value and then divide it by 12, and you can manually type in that 12 into your formula. Make sure you do any appropriate formatting. Once you finish that projected monthly income, this will complete the income and projection tab of Major Assignment 2 Excel.